I watched my son's hands shake when he read the letter. 10 million, he whispered. And that's when I realized my own children didn't deserve a single dollar of it. I watched my son's face turn white the moment I placed the letter in his hands. His fingers shook as he unfolded it. His lips moved silently as he read. Then he swallowed hard. 10 million, his voice cracked like a boy's. Mom, someone offered you $10 million. Before I could answer, my daughter snatched it away from him like it was a winning lottery ticket. Her eyes raced across the page. And when she looked up, she didn't look proud. She didn't look happy. She looked at me like she was seeing a stranger. When were you going to tell us? She asked. I stared at both of them. I could feel my heart beating in my throat. And I didn't answer. Because 3 weeks earlier, I tried to tell them something important. And they called my home a liability. Called me a burden. Told me I needed to be managed. So instead of begging them to love me, I did something else. I sold the house. I took the money. And I tested them. I told them I had nowhere to go, and I needed help. My son said no. My daughter said no. But someone said yes. Someone they never expected. Someone who had nothing, but gave me everything. And now, I was sitting inside my new home, paid in cash, watching my children realize exactly what they had lost. Because the person who helped me, they were about to inherit everything. My name is. I'm 74 years old. And this is the story of how I learned the difference between children and family. And before I tell you what happened next, let me ask you something. If you had one final chance to find out who truly loved you, would you take it? 3 weeks earlier, the letter sat on my kitchen table for 3 full days. Not because I was too busy to open it. Because I was afraid. Afraid it was bad news. At my age, mail usually means one of 3 things. A bill. A warning. Or a reminder that time is running out. But this letter was different. The envelope was thick, cream-colored, heavy. It didn't feel like junk mail. It felt like something that cost money just to touch. And when I finally opened it, standing right there by the counter where my husband Harold used to sip his coffee every morning, I almost dropped my mug. Because the number on that paper didn't make sense. $10 million. All cash. 30-day closing. For my house. My small, modest, 3-bedroom home on Sycamore Lane. The same house my son Mark used to call a money pit. The same house my daughter said looked embarrassing. I read the letter again. Then again. Then a third time, because my brain couldn't accept it. Cascade Development Corporation was offering me $10 million. And not because my house was beautiful. Not because of the paint. Not because of the yard. No. Because of where it sat. A corner lot. Right at the intersection of Sycamore and the main access road. Harold and I had loved it because we had more space for a garden. But the city didn't care about gardens. The city had quietly rezoned our sleepy neighborhood for something massive. A technology campus. The Cascade Innovation Center. A $450 million project. And my property was the last piece they needed. The letter included a map. All the other houses were marked as acquired. Sold. Gone. And mine was marked with a red star. Critical access point, it said. Without my lot, their trucks couldn't reach the main site. Without my lot, the entire project would stall. And every week of delay would cost them about $2 million. So to them, $10 million wasn't generosity. It was business. But to me, it felt like the universe was finally breathing life back into my lungs. Because since Harold died 5 years ago, my days had been gray. Not sad exactly, just empty. Like someone turned the color down on the world. I still cooked. Still cleaned. Still watered the lemon tree Harold planted the summer before he passed. But I did it like a ghost. A woman moving through routines. Because she didn't know what else to do. This letter was the first thing in years that made me feel something sharp and real. Hope. Excitement. A second chance. And I wanted to tell my children. I really did. I wanted them to smile. To celebrate with me. To say, "Mom, you deserve this." So on Tuesday afternoon 2:47, because I remember checking the kitchen clock, I set up my laptop for a video call. I put on my good cardigan. The blue one bought me last Christmas. I even put on lipstick. Not because I expected them to notice, but because I wanted to feel like I mattered. The letter sat just out of frame on the table. Like a secret treasure. Harold's chipped green mug sat beside it. A Father's Day gift from years ago, back when the kids still bought gifts instead of sending quick texts. I dialed Mark first. Then added. The screen flickered. And then their faces appeared. Mark looked impatient already, sitting in his home office with shiny framed awards behind him. Was holding her phone, eyes darting off screen like she was doing 10 other things. And Mark spoke first. "Mom," he said sharp, "we were just talking about you." For 1 second I smiled. I thought maybe they missed me. Maybe they were worried. Maybe they cared. I leaned forward, ready to say my practiced line. "I have the most incredible news." But cut in before I could speak. "The house," she said. My smile froze. "The house," I repeated. Mark leaned closer to the camera, like he was about to present a business report. "That peeling paint, Mom, it's making the place look like a liability." Liability. The word hit me like a slap. "And the yard," added, wrinkling her nose. "It's honestly depressing, the whole aesthetic is just sad." Aesthetic. Depressing. Liability. I glanced down at the letter. 10 million for a liability. 10 million for a depressing aesthetic. I opened my mouth. But no words came out. Mark continued, calm and cold. "That house is way too much for you at your age. You need to be realistic about your limitations." Limitations. My fingers tightened around Harold's mug, without thinking. Sighed dramatically. "And Mom, you need to stop sending Alex money. He needs to learn responsibility." Alex. My grandson. Is a son. The only person who still called, just to ask how I was doing. The only one who asked about Harold's lemon tree. The only one who remembered my birthday, without being reminded. Mark nodded like they were giving a lecture. "We did it on our own," he said. "Alex needs to do the same." My chest felt tight. Because suddenly, I wasn't just hearing their words. I was remembering everything I had done for them. Like the time I emptied 15 years of savings, 25000, so Mark could put a down payment on his first house. He never asked where the money came from. Never paid it back. Never even brought it up again. Or the time I sold Harold's mother's gold locket, an heirloom, to help pay for his wedding dress. A dress she wore for one day. A locket I'll never get back. Or the time Harold and I took out a home equity loan to cover Mark's failed business debts. It took 11 years to pay it off. Harold died 2 years before we made the final payment. And Mark never mentioned it again. Now he was calling my home a liability. Was calling me a burden. And I realized something in that moment, sitting there staring at their faces on a grainy laptop screen. They weren't calling because they loved me. They were calling because I was becoming inconvenient. Mark's voice snapped again. Mom, are you even listening? I swallowed. Yes, I said quietly, I'm listening. Glanced off screen. I have book club in 15 minutes. Can this be quick? Mark exhaled like I was wasting his time. We're trying to help you, Mom. You can't just ignore these problems forever. And that's when something cold and clear formed in my chest. A decision. A realization. I looked at Harold's mug. At the lemon tree swaying outside the window. At the letter worth $10 million sitting right there. And I looked back at my children. I was about to tell them the biggest news of my life. And they were too busy calling me a burden to hear it. So I didn't tell them. Not then. I just smiled tiredly. The kind of smile you give when you finally stop fighting. I need to go, I said. Mark frowned. Think about what we said. Nodded. Yeah, Mom, be realistic. I ended the call. The kitchen went silent. Just me. Harold's chipped mug. And the $10 million letter my children didn't even know existed. And in that silence, I whispered something I never thought I'd whisper about my own kids. Who are you, really? Because right then I knew. Before I accepted that offer. Before I changed my life. I needed to know something first. If I ever truly needed them. Would they be there? So I walked to Harold's old desk, pulled out a legal pad, and wrote 3 words at the top of the page. The test. And underneath it, I started writing the lie that would reveal the truth. A gas leak. A condemned house. Nowhere to go. Just a mother asking for shelter. Not money. Not comfort. Just a place to stay for a few days. And as I wrote those words, my hand didn't shake from fear. It shook from heartbreak. Because deep down, I already knew what was coming. But I needed to see it with my own eyes. I needed proof. And the next morning, I made the first call. To the person who had always been my son. But might not have been my family at all. Thursday morning, 10:30 a.m. I sat at Harold's desk, with the phone in my hand like it weighed 1,000 pounds. The gas company paperwork was beside me, real forms from a real inspection I'd scheduled days earlier. Nothing was wrong, of course, but the forms looked official. They looked serious. They looked like the kind of proof people believe without asking questions. I'd written my script on the legal pad. Word for word. Not because I was trying to be clever. Because if my voice sounded too steady, Mark would accuse me of being dramatic. If it sounded too emotional, he'd call me manipulative. So I practiced until I found the perfect balance. Scared but not hysterical, desperate but not begging. Just a 74-year-old woman who needed help. My finger hovered over Mark's name. I stared at it for a long moment. This was my son. The baby I once rocked through colic. The boy I bandaged when he scraped his knees. The young man I emptied my savings for. I didn't want to believe he would turn me away. But I also didn't want to live the rest of my life pretending. I pressed call. It rang 4 times before he answered. Mom, his voice was sharp, already annoyed. I'm in the middle of something. Not are you okay? Not what's going on. Just impatience. I swallowed, let my voice tremble. Mark, I need your help. There was a pause, a tiny one, like he was deciding how much time he could spare. What is it? I forced myself to breathe slowly. There's been a gas leak, I said, like I'd practiced. The inspector came yesterday. He says the whole system needs to be replaced and the house isn't safe. He condemned it. I can't stay here. Silence. But it wasn't worried silence. It was calculating silence. Then Mark scoffed. A gas leak, are you serious? Again, no concern for me. Just irritation, like I'd told him the internet was down. Mark, I'm serious, I said. They said I have to leave right away. I need somewhere to stay for a few days, just until it's fixed. And that's when his tone changed. Not soft. Not caring. It turned into that lecture voice I remembered from when he was a teenager, trying to sound older than he was. Mom, this is exactly what we've been telling you, he snapped. That house is falling apart. This is what happens when you don't maintain things properly. I closed my eyes. The words still cut, even though I'd prepared for them. I didn't do anything wrong, I whispered. I just need help. He sighed loudly, like the conversation itself was exhausting him. Absolutely not. My heart dropped so fast it felt like I couldn't catch my breath. Mark, I tried again. It's just for a few days, I won't be in the way. Mom, you don't understand, he said, sharper. Laura and I are refinancing right now. We're pulling equity out for a new SUV. Our debt-to-income ratio needs to be perfect. If you stay here, it complicates everything. I blinked, stunned. A new SUV. My safety, compared to a car. It's just sleeping on a couch, I said. No one even has to know. They will know, he snapped. Banks ask questions, they look at everything. This is terrible timing. Mark, I have nowhere else to go. His voice dropped into something colder. There are extended stay motels. Use one of those. I held the phone to my ear, staring at Harold's photograph on the desk. Harold smiling at the beach, years before illness stole him. My throat burned. Mark, please, I whispered, and I hated myself for that word please, because it made me feel small. But he didn't soften. I can't have this disrupting my finances right now, he said. I have to go. And the line went dead. Just like that. No goodbye. No, let me know you're safe. No, I'm sorry. Just a click. I sat there holding the phone like it might ring again, if I stared hard enough. My hands trembled. For a second, I thought maybe I should stop the test. Maybe I should tell him the truth. Maybe I should spare myself the rest of it. But then I remembered the video call. The word liability. The way he looked at me like a problem. And I thought, if he can't offer me a couch for 3 nights, what kind of son is he? I wiped my face, straightened my shoulders, and looked down at the legal pad. 1 down. 1 to go. Thursday afternoon, 2:15 p.m. I called. To my surprise, she answered immediately. Mom, she said, bright and fake like she was smiling for an audience. Is everything okay? I almost laughed. Because she said the words, but they didn't feel real. I used the same script. The same trembling voice. The same story. And the second I said condemned, I heard it. That sigh. The sigh used when she was 16, and I asked her to clean her room. The sigh that meant, here we go again. Oh, mother, she said, dragging the words out. You're always such a burden. Burdens. There it was again. The same word she used before. I swallowed the lump in my throat. I just need somewhere to stay, just a few days. She didn't even pretend to think. My book club is meeting here all week, she said quickly. We're doing a whole series on mindful living. The guest room is my meditation space now. Everything is balanced. The energy would be completely wrong with you here. I stared at the wall, trying to understand how a woman could say those words about her own mother. My energy, I repeated softly. She ignored the pain in my voice. Have you considered a senior home? She asked, casual. They have respite programs for situations like this. It makes way more sense than imposing on family. Imposing. Family. Like I was a stranger asking for a favor. I'm not ready for that, I whispered. She paused, and I could almost hear her mind searching for an answer that didn't include her helping me. Then she said it. What about Alex? My stomach turned. Alex, I repeated. Yes, said quickly, like she'd solved a puzzle. He has that little apartment. He can handle having you there for a few days. I nearly dropped the phone. You want your son, your child, to take me in, I said, my voice shaking now for real. But you can't. Her tone turned defensive instantly. Mom, don't twist my words. I'm just giving options. You can't expect me to disrupt my entire wellness routine because of your housing emergency. Wellness routine. Meditation space. Book club. This was the line she wouldn't cross. Not for me. She continued like she was offering advice to a neighbor, not her mother. Maybe this is the universe telling you it's time to downsize, she said. To simplify, let go. Let go. Of what? My home. My dignity. My right to be cared for. My voice broke. I'm scared. And she responded with the thing of all. A rushed, dismissive tone. Mom, I have to go. My yoga instructor just arrived. We're working on breathing techniques. Just figure something out. You're resourceful, you always figure things out. Then she hung up. I sat there in the dim kitchen light, the same light that had filled that house for 42 years. Harold's lemon tree moved gently outside, like it didn't know my world had just cracked open. Mark said no. Said no. Both of my children failed. And now my thumb hovered over the last name in my contacts. Alex. My grandson. The one with the tiny studio apartment. The one who worked double shifts. The one who could barely afford groceries. I didn't want to call him. I didn't want to test him. Because if he said no too, I wasn't sure I'd survive it. But I also couldn't ignore what had done. She tossed me toward her own son, like a problem she didn't want to handle. So I did it. I pressed call. It rang once, twice, 3 times, 4. And then I heard noise explode through the speaker. Clattering dishes. Shouting voices. A fryer sizzling. A restaurant in the middle of chaos. Then Alex's voice cut through it, breathless and surprised. Grandma, hold on, it's really loud. I heard him moving fast, a door opening then closing. The sound changed, echoing. He was somewhere cold. Okay, he whispered. I'm in the walk-in cooler, it's the only quiet place. Grandma, what's wrong? And the moment he asked that, really asked, my practice script dissolved. My throat tightened. And my voice broke in a way I hadn't planned. Alex, I whispered, something happened with the house. Grandma, Alex's voice was low now, careful like he was trying not to scare me. Tell me what happened. I swallowed, my mouth was dry. I could still hear the restaurant chaos faintly behind him, muffled by the thick cooler door. Somewhere out there, plates were clanging, orders were being shouted, life was moving fast. And here I was, sitting alone in a dark kitchen that didn't even belong to me anymore, about to lie to the one person who didn't deserve it. There's been a gas leak, I whispered. Silence. Not the annoyed, calculating kind Mark gave me. Not the tired sigh gave me. This silence was different. It was attention. It was worry. It was love. A gas leak, Alex repeated sharp. Are you okay? Are you out of the house right now? My eyes stung. Even in my fake emergency, he asked the real question. I'm okay, I said quickly, but the inspector condemned the place. I can't stay there. Where are you right now? He demanded. I glanced around the kitchen. Still here, I admitted, embarrassed. I wasn't supposed to, but I didn't know where else to go. Stay right there, he said instantly. Alex. No, his voice turned firm. Stay there, I'm coming to get you. My heart lurched. Alex, you're at work, I said. You can't just leave in the middle of your shift. I'm leaving, he said, like it wasn't even a question. I could picture him already moving, already pulling off an apron, already making a decision without hesitation. Give me 40 minutes. Alex, please, my voice cracked, and suddenly the lie felt too heavy to carry. You don't have to do this. He paused. And when he spoke again, his voice softened, fierce and gentle at the same time. Grandma, you're not spending tonight alone figuring this out. Then the line clicked off. I sat there with the phone still pressed to my ear, listening to nothing. And I cried. Not angry tears. Not the bitter, exhausted kind. These were tears of relief, mixed with shame. Relief that someone cared. Shame that I had dragged him into a lie. And somewhere beneath it all, gratitude so strong it almost hurt. Outside, the streetlights flickered on. The kitchen grew darker. I didn't turn on a single lamp. I just waited. Because for the first time in a long time, someone was coming for me. Headlights swept across the kitchen wall, like a moving shadow. I stood quickly and went to the window. An old Civic pulled into the driveway. One headlight was dimmer than the other, giving the car a lopsided look, like it had been through too much and kept going anyway. Alex stepped out. Tall and lanky. 22 years old. My grandson looked like a tired version of his grandfather. Same brown eyes, same long limbs, same quiet strength. He was wearing his restaurant uniform, black pants, white shirt stained with grease and what looked like tomato sauce. A backpack hung from one shoulder like he carried his whole life in it. I opened the door before he could knock. Grandma. He didn't ask for details first. He didn't lecture me. He didn't sigh. He just wrapped me in a hug. A real hug. The kind that felt like someone was holding you up when you weren't sure you could stand on your own. He smelled like dish soap and cooking oil. And underneath that, something warm. Safety. I'm so sorry, he murmured into my hair. I'm here, I'm here. I pulled back, wiping my face quickly. You came all the way across town, I said. You left work. He nodded like it was nothing. Then he looked at me, eyes serious. Have you eaten? That question hit me harder than anything. Because my own children didn't ask if I was okay, and my grandson was asking if I'd eat. I shook my head. Okay, he said. First we eat, then we pack, you're staying with me. Alex, your apartment is too small, I protested. I can't impose on you. He gave me a small smile, gentle but firm. It's bigger than a condemned house, come on. While I packed an overnight bag, Alex moved around my kitchen like he belonged there. He opened the fridge. Found the bread I'd bought the week before. Pulled out peanut butter and jelly. The sound of someone making food for me, simple, ordinary, caring, made my throat tight. We sat at the kitchen table together. The same table where I wrote the words the test and planned my lie. The same table where Harold used to read the paper, humming under his breath like the world was steady. Alex slid a sandwich toward me and watched until I took a bite. He didn't eat much himself. I noticed that. He mostly watched me. Like he needed to make sure I was real, that I was okay, that he hadn't arrived too late. How long will repairs take? He asked. I'm not sure, I lied, keeping my voice soft. Maybe a week, maybe longer. He nodded, jaw tight. Then his eyes narrowed slightly. Did Mom and Uncle Mark help you? My stomach dropped. I hesitated just a second too long. Alex saw it immediately. His face changed, hurt first, then anger. They didn't, he said quietly. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because saying it out loud would make it too real. Alex exhaled through his nose, controlled and tense. Okay, he said, then they don't matter right now, you're coming with me. He grabbed my bags like it weighed nothing. Held the passenger door open like Harold used to do. Turned the heat up because the evening air was sharp and cold. As we pulled away, I looked back at the house one more time. The house where I raised my children. The house where Harold died. The house that belonged to someone else now. And instead of grief, I felt something strange. Clarity. Thursday night, 10:16 p.m. Alex's apartment was smaller than I imagined. A studio. One room serving as living room, bedroom, kitchen all at once. A tiny bathroom tucked to the side. The whole space couldn't have been more than 400 square feet. But it was spotless. The kind of clean that doesn't come from comfort. The kind of clean that comes from pride. Everything had its place. Dishes stacked neatly. Clothes folded in milk crates that served as drawers. Books arranged on shelves made from boards and bricks. And the walls. The walls were covered in art. Sketches. Paintings. Portraits with eyes that seemed to follow you. Landscapes that captured light so beautifully, it made my chest ache. This tiny apartment wasn't just where Alex lived. It was where he survived. Where he dreamed. Alex set my bag down and immediately started stripping his bed. The only bed in the apartment, a double mattress on a basic frame. What are you doing? I asked. Changing the sheets, he said, matter of fact. You take the bed, I'll sleep on the futon. I turned and saw the futon. It was lumpy, threadbare, pressed against the wall beneath a window. It looked like something found on a curb. Absolutely not, I said. Alex, that's your bed. He stopped and looked at me. And for a moment, I saw Harold's eyes so clearly I almost stopped breathing. Grandma, he said softly, you take the bed, please. Then he said the words my children couldn't say. You are not a burden. My eyes filled instantly. He stepped closer, voice quiet but steady. You're my family, and family takes care of each other. I sat down slowly on the edge of his bed. His only bed. And watched my grandson give up comfort he didn't have, without complaint. He handed me a glass of water, his only real glass, not plastic. Offered me his warmest blanket. Set his laptop on the small desk, so I'd have something to watch if I couldn't sleep. I'm gonna shower, he said, grabbing clean clothes. I smell like the fryer, you'll be okay for a few minutes. I'll be fine, I whispered. When the bathroom door closed and the water started running, I finally let myself really look around. The kitchenette was just a hot plate and a mini fridge. The fridge hummed loudly, like it was working overtime. I opened it, then immediately felt guilty. But what I saw made my chest tighten. Milk. Eggs. Leftover rice. 2 apples. Condiments. That was it. No real meals. No abundance. Just enough to get by. On the desk were art supplies, brushes worn down, paint tubes squeezed almost flat, canvases leaned carefully against the wall like treasures. By the door, 2 pairs of shoes. 1 pair of black work shoes. 1 pair of sneakers, held together with glue. I noticed a notebook half hidden under a sketchpad. A budget sheet. Rent, food, utilities, tuition. Every dollar counted. Nothing left over. And pinned above the desk. An acceptance letter. A summer art program. Dated last year. My throat tightened. He had been accepted and couldn't afford to go. The shower turned off. I quickly stepped back, pretending I hadn't looked at anything. Alex came out, hair damp, looking even younger without the restaurant grease and noise around him. He collapsed onto the futon. The springs creaked like they were protesting his existence. He shifted, trying to find a spot that didn't stab him. "Are you sure you don't want the bed?" I asked, voice shaking. "That looks awful." He smiled tiredly. "I'm fine, I've slept on worse." He looked at me again, serious. "Do you need anything else? Another blanket?" I swallowed hard. "No," I whispered, "just thank you." We sat in silence for a moment, the apartment filled with the sound of traffic outside. Then I asked quietly, "Alex, how are you really doing?" He hesitated. Then he shrugged, trying to act casual. "I'm okay, it's tough, but I'm okay." But I saw it. The dark circles. The exhaustion he tried to hide. The way his shoulders carried weight that shouldn't belong to someone so young. And I realized something sharp and painful. My children had everything, and still refused to help me. Alex had nothing, and still gave me everything. And lying there in his bed, listening to him settle into that broken futon, I felt the decision forming in my chest like stone. Tomorrow, I would tell him the truth. Tomorrow, I would make it right. Because this young man, this grandson, wasn't just my family. He was the only person who reminded me I still mattered. Friday morning, before the sun fully rose, I woke to the soft sound of Alex moving around the apartment. He was trying to be quiet. Trying not to disturb me. I kept my eyes half closed and watched him through my lashes. He put on his work shirt, tied his apron strings with a tired, practiced motion, packed his backpack like he'd done it 1,000 times. Before he left, he walked over to the bed and gently pulled the blanket higher around my shoulders. Like I was something precious. Then he paused, looking at my face, making sure I was okay. "Grandma," he whispered, "I'll be back by 2, you're safe here." Safe. 4 simple words that felt like a gift I hadn't earned. After the door shut, the apartment went quiet again. I sat up slowly in Alex's bed, his only bed, staring at the ceiling, staring at the sketches taped above it. And I thought about Mark's voice. Absolutely not. I thought about Sai. "You're always such a burden." Then I thought about Alex, leaving a loud restaurant in the middle of a shift, running to me without hesitation. And I knew something deep in my bones. This test wasn't cruel. It was necessary. Because the truth is, I had been lying to myself for years. I'd told myself my children were busy. That their coldness was stress. That they loved me, just in their own way. But love is not a word. Love is action. And my children had shown me theirs. I brewed coffee on Alex's hot plate, the little burner clicking and struggling like it was exhausted too. Then I sat at his desk again. That budget sheet stayed in my mind like a bruise. Rent, $847. Food, $200. Art supplies, $150. Utilities, $100. Tuition, $300. Nothing left. A life stretched thin, while his mother worried about a meditation room. I picked up my phone and called Peter. He answered on the second ring. He said, warm and steady, "Is everything all right?" "No," I said, voice clear now, "but it will be." I swallowed. "I want to set up a trust for my grandson." There was a pause. Peter didn't interrupt, he never did. "Okay," he said gently, "how much are we talking about?" 500,000, I said, "managed by you until he turns 25. Peter's breath caught slightly. He didn't try to talk me out of it. He just asked carefully, "Are you sure?" I've never been more sure of anything. We discussed details, how it would work, how it would protect him, how it would give him stability without destroying his drive. Then I added, and I want to buy property. A home for you, Peter asked. For us, I said quietly, something near each other, something permanent. Peter didn't ask why, he already knew. Tell me what you want, he said. I'll call the right agent. When I hung up, I looked around Alex's apartment again. At the art on the walls. At the worn-out shoes. At the clean space that proved he had dignity even without money. Then I stood up, grabbed my purse, and walked to the corner store. I bought groceries. Real groceries. Chicken, vegetables, rice, bread, fruit. The things you buy when you want to feed someone like they matter. By the time Alex came home at 2:30, the apartment smelled like roasted chicken and herbs. The table was set with his mismatched plates. And when he stepped inside, he froze like he'd walked into a dream. Grandma, he whispered, what is all this? You gave me your bed, I said. Let me give you a meal. His face did something complicated. Pride, gratitude, embarrassment, and something softer beneath it. We ate together. He told me about his shift, about the broken fryer and the rude customer who complained the whole time. I watched him eat like someone who had been hungry for longer than he admitted. After dinner, we washed dishes side by side. Then I dried my hands slowly and took a deep breath. Alex, I said, I need to tell you something. He turned to me, instantly alert. Okay, he said, what's wrong? I led him to the futon, and we sat down. I stared at my hands, because looking at his eyes felt too hard. There was no gas leak, I said. Silence. His eyebrows pulled together. What? There was no gas leak, I repeated, voice shaking now. I lied. His mouth opened slightly, like his brain couldn't fit the words together. Grandma, why would you? I forced myself to continue before I lost courage. 5 days ago, I got a letter from a developer, I said quickly. They offered me $10 million for my house. His face went pale. 10 million. I nodded. I was going to tell Mark and I said. I called them on video, I was excited, I wanted to share it. But before I could speak, they spent the whole call telling me my house was a liability, that I was a burden, that I needed to be managed. Alex's jaw tightened. I kept going. So I sold the house quietly, I said, and then I tested them. His eyes widened. You tested them? I told them the gas leak story, I admitted. I told them I needed somewhere to stay for a few days. Mark said no because it would interfere with his SUV financing, said no because of her book club and her meditation space. My voice cracked, and she told me to stay with you instead. Alex stood up fast, packing the tiny room like the air had suddenly become too thick. I can't believe my mom, he muttered, anger rising. I knew she was self-centered, but telling you to stay with me when she wouldn't help you herself, when she knows I'm barely getting by. Don't apologize for them, I whispered. He stopped and looked at me, eyes sharp. What are you going to do now, he asked, with the money, with them? I swallowed. I already started, I said. I called Peter this morning, I'm setting up a trust fund for you, $500,000. His whole body stiffened. Grandma, no, his voice cracked. That's too much, I can't accept that. You already accepted me when I had nothing to offer, I said. This isn't payment, it's investment. He shook his head, overwhelmed. I don't know what to say. Say you'll let me do this, I whispered. Say you'll let me help you the way you helped me. His eyes filled with tears. He tried to blink them away, but they fell anyway. Then he nodded, barely. Okay, he breathed, okay. I reached for his hand. And there's more, I said. I'm calling a family meeting. Wednesday, they're going to find out everything. Alex's face hardened. They're going to lose it. Yes, I said simply, they are. I took a steady breath, feeling the weight of it all: years of sacrifice, years of being used, years of silence. Then I said the words that had been forming in me since the moment Mark hung up. My will is being changed. Alex's eyes widened again. Grandma. Everything goes to you, I said, calm now. The trust, the property, the rest of the money, all of it. He looked like he might argue. But then he stepped forward and wrapped his arms around me. Held me tight, like I was the only solid thing in his world. Thank you, he whispered, for seeing me, for choosing me. I closed my eyes. No, I whispered back. Thank you for reminding me what family is. Wednesday came faster than I expected. By then, Peter had helped me close on a duplex, 2 units side by side, a shared courtyard, and an old garage that could become Alex's studio. Paid in cash. No loans, no stress, no strings. At 2:45 p.m., I stood by the window and watched Mark's and white Mercedes pull into the driveway. They stepped out slowly, staring at the duplex like they were trying to understand how I could afford it. I opened the door before they could knock. Mom, Mark said, eyes scanning, what is this place? His voice turned sweet. It's beautiful. Is this senior housing? They walked inside. They were impressed. They were curious. They were already calculating. I waited until they sat on the couch. Then I said calmly, there was no gas leak. Both of them froze. Mark stood up. What? I reached for the folder on the coffee table and handed him the developer letter. He read it once. Then again. His face drained of color. 10 million, he whispered. Snatched it from him, eyes wide, breathing fast. When were you going to tell us? She demanded. I tried, I said quietly, on the video call. Their faces shifted, remembering. The words liability, depressing burden. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't have to. I sold the house, I said, and then I tested you. Mark's face twisted. That's not fair, you set us up. I gave you a chance to show basic compassion, I said. You both failed. His eyes filled. Mom, please. I pulled out the trust papers. This duplex cost me 1.2 million cash, I said, and the trust fund and the rest of my estate are not for you. Mark leaned forward, desperate now. Then who? I looked at them both. For Alex. The room exploded. Mark shouted. Cried. They begged, they argued, they blamed me. And I listened with a calm I didn't know I still had. Then I stood, walked to the door, and opened it. This meeting is over, I said. Mark glared. You'll regret this. I met his eyes. The only thing I regret, I said softly, is not seeing who you really were sooner. I closed the door. Locked it. And when I turned around, Alex was standing there in the courtyard doorway, close enough to hear everything. It's done, I whispered. He hugged me. And for the first time in years, I felt light. Because revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's simply choosing peace. Choosing the person who chose you. And if there's one lesson I learned at 74, it's this. Children are who you raise. But family is who shows up when you have nothing left to offer.